the last game, everyone kind of knows what happens. What was the conversation like with Eric Bieniemy this week and him kind of throwing his support behind you?
Coach EB is always going to have his input and ultimately just have his support system. He played the position. He knows, he knows what comes with the position, and he knows, what I need to do to execute. So as far as having a conversation, everything's going to be pretty much straightforward. I'm not one of those guys that likes gray area. Everything with me is pretty much black and white. So as far as shooting it straight, that's what we did. Went in there, talked about it, and then continue to do what we was going to do week in and week out. So that's pretty much it.
Let's go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Clyde. Coach Andy Reid said on Monday that some of the issues with the run game is a matter of the running backs getting used to the offensive line. How has that process gone for you guys? And how soon would you like to see some kind of cohesion between the blocking and the scheme and the running?
Like I said in past interviews before, everything is kind of like a building blocks of process, and we all know how this game goes. Every week is something different, but there are times that you're going to get multiple looks that's the same. But as far as gelling with the O-line and gelling with those guys up front, I mean, as far as what we've been showcasing and practicing, everything's been looking smooth. It's really just about really, pinpointing the things that we need to on film, those small things that some might see that miss the eye to others that really don't know the game. Time we have our meetings is pretty much running backs and O-line. When it is time to have the run game meetings, everything is pretty much straightforward. We just got to keep chopping the wood in order to do the things that we want to in the run game.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Clyde, you were asked a minute ago about what you and Bieniemy talked about after the game against Baltimore. What about your teammates? What kind of feedback have you gotten from those guys after the fumble?
As far as teammates as a whole, or specifically? I mean, for the most part, man, we're not a team that's gonna point fingers. As soon as the game was over, it was we all understand that we have a job. I understand what I needed to do at the moment. Everybody understands, the things that they needed to correct and or do. And from that point on, it was all positive reinforcement. We're not gonna pinpoint something at the time. It shouldn't have happened as far as me doing my job at the time. But there's points, where things are going to happen. And for the most part, the positive reinforcement from everybody was, man, it was going to happen. Not necessarily saying it was bound to happen, but play running back, you get the ball, handed to you a lot. So at some point, you're gonna have a fumble. It was just the fact of the time when it did happen. Everybody kind of came around me and gave me that positive reinforcement just to let me know. Even Pat, Trav, just the whole offense, just kind of putting it in my head like, man, it sucks that it happened, but ultimately it was your first one. So from that, we move on and keep chopping the wood that we need to.
Go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Clyde, you mentioned that you saw some things maybe small that can obviously make a big improvement. I just wonder, what do you think are maybe that one or two small thing that you think can translate to success on Sunday? And what lessons do you think will, last week's game serve you in the long-term course of this season?
As far as those small things, I mean, you can't directly pinpoint one thing because each run is going to have, something different. Every run is not exactly the same. But from the things that I can possibly do, just I would say be a little bit more decisive on my part. And from that point, just kind of play my game. I was brought in for a reason as far as the skill set and everything that we talked about. Even EB and I talked about it this week. The things that I can do and showcase. We need to put it on display, and then from that point, just move forward. It was the second game of the season, and from this point, the only way that he told me, we can go from this point is up. So I never really looked down as far as how I perform and or the things that I do. Always just been like a heads up kind of guy. Always been doubted, and I just kind of keep it rolling.
We've got 4 more. We're going to go right down the line, starting with Todd Lebo. Go ahead, Todd.
Hey, Clyde, I don't really mean to be bringing this fumble back up, but we didn't get a chance to talk to you after the game or during the week. That's just the world we live in now with the Zooms. But did you feel technically you were holding the ball the way you're supposed to hold it? Because we couldn't really kind of see on the replay. Was there anything wrong with that? And I've got a quick follow-up.
I mean, as far as me looking at it, it was a run to the left side. As far as me having my pocket and everything, as far as getting the ball, left hand down, right hand over the top. From that point, getting the ball, the defensive guy made a great play. I mean, as soon as everything kind of came to view sight or viewing, he had already had his inside hand punching on the ball. So, like I said, at that point, it's 4 minutes. I could have had 2 hands on the ball a little quicker, but like I said, we look at it, made the adjustments at that time, and that was pretty much it.
And a lot of Chiefs fans remember. You don't remember this because you were in college at this point, but Kareem Hunt fumbled his very first
carry, and then he handled his business. Yeah, exactly.
Now you got to wait a whole week though, right? So what's it been like to not be able to go back out there right away and try to make it right? You know what I mean?
I would say, his situation, my situation. I never like to compare to everybody's situations. But as far as me having a week, everybody copes and deal with things in their own way. So, I would say just me really having time to really just, I would say, watch the film like I always do and make the corrections like I do every week. It was, as far as me having my routine. Now, I'm a routine guy from mom, dad on down, Marine, Army background. Everything that I do, I've pretty much done the same thing week in and week out. Even, dating back to last year, everything was pretty much rolling up into my injury. So I'm not a guy that kind of, if one bad things happen, I kind of, forget my training and then, everything goes into panic mode. That's not me. I kind of lock in, pinpoint it, tunnel vision, and then go out and do my job like I'm supposed to.
Go next to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
I'll make it quick so our Nordic friends can get a question in. Quite simply, Clyde, when you're seeing yourself on tape, is there anything that you kind of beat yourself up and say, oh, man, I should have done this a lot better right now? Or is it just kind of, like you say, 111, keep moving forward?
I can only speak for myself, but you probably can ask every player in the NFL, is there times that they look on film or even a play that they felt like it was a good play, that they feel like they can do something better in the time of that. There's times that I know I'm going to go out and even watch today's practice when I get home and just say like, oh, man, damn, I probably could have did that a little better or a little quicker, just because that's just the nature of it. As far as everything that's going on the field, at times you feel like you could have done something, but, in general, the human can only tap into about 10% of their brain at a time to really kind of execute what they need to. So really just telling myself that I can kind of unlock more and keep going. That's kind of like my mindset. I know at some point, I can continue to go harder. But it's kind of human nature to kind of stop where they feel uncomfortable.
Go last 2, Karen and Seren. Go ahead, Karen.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, okay, good. Hey, Clyde, having said all this stuff, looking at the Chargers defense, how do you feel that you can run against them? Tell me a little bit about what you see with them and maybe what opportunities you might be able to take advantage of.
Just watching watching their game, watching film all week, and even doing a little studying from last week when they played Dallas. There are times where they play a zone. Like a real soft zone defense, and there are multiple opportunities as far as being able to get the ball north and south and kind of run those downhill inside zone kind of runs if we can get those opportunities and those looks. But just having our offense and having the things that we can do, that helps it extremely coming off of RPO. Having the ability to possibly run the ball in those soft zones, and then if they kind of clamp down inside, then we do our job as far as Pat and the guys outside. We kind of make magic in that standpoint.
And we'll go last to our friends in the Nordic region. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Clyde. I want to ask you about the RPOs. What do the RPOs bring to your offense, and what are your roles as a running back in these type of play calls?
You know, just the RPO game in general is more of a, I would say it's more of a cat and mouse game with the quarterback. You know, my job in the RPO is pretty much, you know my keys and understand what I'm doing as a running back. And from that point, you know, the quarterback has the keys to the car. You know, if he wants to pull it and make that decision to throw the ball, then he does. And if he decides to give it, then at that point, once I realize I'm in complete control of the ball, then, you know, I do my job by running it. So, you know, it's pretty much all keyed in on the quarterback and his thought process and his decision.
Clyde, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
No